Good morning students, welcome back to my channel Molecular Mysteries. So in the thumbnail we have come across this class is about the pregnancies, types of pregnancies and what are abnormal pregnancies. Okay, so if you have any doubt, please refer to the female reproductive system description box. I have given you all the links. If you want to have an anatomy of it, you can check it. If you want to have a clear understanding about the menstrual cycle, part 1 and part 2, I have been linking all these in the description box. Please go through it. So before we talk about pregnancy, we should all be well aware of what are the things that are happening. Where is that part of the fallopian tube that is responsible for the ectopic pregnancy? Okay, so before that, you please be aware that you have covered all the classes regarding the female reproductive system. Okay, now let's start. So this class, I told you, this is about the pregnancies. So what is pregnancy? You all know the embryonic development or the implantation of particular embryo happening in the uterine area, in the uterus part of your female reproductive system, is what you call the pregnancy. So what is ectopic pregnancy? So before I enter, I want to give you so let's talk about what are the types of pregnancies. So other than if a baby or embryo or is happening or developing or implantation has happened outside your uterine area. So uterus is meant for holding the baby. If that is happening outside the uterus area, that is what you call the ectopic pregnancy. This could be any part of your reproductive system. It could be ovaries, it could be fallopian tube, any part of your fallopian tube. See, this is a normal pregnancy where the baby is held in the uterus part. But what happens in the ectopic pregnancy? I told you, in the ectopic pregnancy, any part of your female reproductive system other than the uterus, baby starts growing there. So it could be fallopian tubule. So this is the example of it. So if the baby start growing in the isthmus part of your fallopian tube. So if you want to have, if you have any doubt regarding the reproductive system parts and all, you can refer to that in the description box. So this is the part called isthmus part. If baby is growing there, that is called ectopic pregnancy. It can be even sometimes baby can also grow in the ovary also sometimes. Okay, so that is also rare, but still that may happen. Okay, so this is how the baby starts developing in the fallopian part. Okay, see, this is the wonderful slide that I want to show you. So we all know that the implantation has to happen in the uterus part of your reproductive system. This is the area. Ampulla is the region where the fertilization happens, right? So here the fertilization happens, and isthmus is the area where the process starts, right? So ampulla and isthmus are the main areas for your for your fertilization, and they finally move into the uterus for your implantation. If the fertilization is happening here and finally the baby is developing here, it is a normal pregnancy. Instead of it, if it is happening in the ampulla region of your fallopian tube or isthmus region of your fallopian tube, or it could be the interstitial region of your fallopian tube, or sometimes it could be the ovary part where the baby can grow. So this is called the ectopic pregnancy. Okay, so that is why I have given you a small diagram. Okay, now let's see what are the percentage of pregnancies. Okay, I told you most common site for your implantation during the ectopic pregnancy is ampulla region. So what happens? Common site for your fertilization is the same area. So I just told you, in the ampulla region you will be having the fertilization, right? The sperm and egg fuse in the ampulla region of your fallopian tube. So if you see the pregnant ladies who are suffering with the ectopic pregnancy, they might have chances of having the fertilization in the ampulla region, at the same time growth and implantation of the baby happening in the same area of the fallopian tube. That is why the ampulla region is considered to be the common site for your ectopic pregnancy implantation, and also the common site for your fertilization. Means the baby is not moving, like the embryo will full blastocyst stage is not moving into your uterus for your development of your zygote, right? So that is how this ectopic pregnancy happen in the ampulla region of your fallopian tube. Apart from that, I told you they have chances or also having the implantation happening in the ovarian part of your reproductive system. Not only fallopian tube, sometimes the ovarian part, even the infundibulum part also sometimes hold the baby, which is generally rare. So here, see, the most common site of ectopic pregnancy is the fallopian tube, and the least common site of your non-tubal ectopic pregnancy happening in the ovary of your female reproductive system. Okay, hope you are all aware of the parts of your female reproductive system. Okay, that's why I am giving you a brief idea because you have already gone through the class. Now let's see the sites of ectopic pregnancy. I told you, other than the uterus, the baby can be grown anywhere in the female reproductive system. It could be the interstitial part, it could be the isthmus part, it could be the ampullary part, or it could be the fibria part, or in the ovarian part. So these are all the common sites for your ectopic pregnancy. And also I gave you the percentage. I told you the ectopic pregnancy, 95% of ectopic pregnancies happen in the tubal part of your reproductive system, that is the fallopian tubal part. And within the fallopian tubal part you have the interstitial area which is very close to your uterus, and you have isthmus part and you have ampullary part. Ampullary part is a site of fertilization. There itself, if baby is growing, that is what you call ampullary ectopic pregnancy, right? Isthmus part, where it has to pass through the uterus, then only it can grow well in the uterus. So that is why these are the sites and these are the common percentages of your ectopic pregnancy. So ovarian pregnancy you have 3%. In the infundibulum part you have fimbrial ectopic pregnancy which is 11%, and you have intramural which is less than 1%. So these are the sites where the pregnancy can happen in the ectopic. Okay, hope I am clear with the diagram. Now let's see what are the types of ectopic pregnancies. Like I told you, any part of it could be ectopic pregnancy. Any part of tube can be ectopic pregnancy. What is corneal pregnancy, angular pregnancy, and heterotropic pregnancy? You have three different types coming under the ectopic. So corneal, I told you, it is also called as the interstitial pregnancy. So if you can refer this, see, this is the interstitial area. I can say it is also called the corneal area, right? Here, see, if a baby is growing here in the interstitial part of your tube instead of growing in the uterus part, the survival capacity comparatively to the region where baby is growing in the ampullary region is more. Because, so if you can understand, all the womb, all the zygote and the embryo, what does that need? It only needs the endometrium deposition for your holding, right? If endometrium is deposited outside the uterus, it could be the interstitial part or it could be the ampullary part, right? So if interstitial part is holding the baby, so the capacity of holding the nutrients or capacity of absorbing the nutrients from the uterus is more seen in the interstitial part. Thus the baby can be survived more in the interstitial part of ectopic pregnancy than the ampullary part of your pregnancy. I am just giving you an idea because this interstitial part has got many nutrients absorbed from the uterus. So the endometrium, little endometrium will be there here. So the survival capacity of the baby is more in the interstitial part of your ectopic pregnancy. If it is the ampullary part, there is no chance of survival, and even by the time the baby is moving into the isthmus, it may lead to the bulge, or the whole fallopian tube may burst because of the growth happening in the isthmus part of your fallopian tube. So this is what I just want to give you a brief idea. So what is angular pregnancy? Angular pregnancy is something which is located in the angulary area of your here, somewhere here it is intrauterine pregnancy, by the way, and it is called the angular pregnancy, where it is in the angle position opposite to your fallopian tube. So the pregnancy here could also be ectopic because they may not have sufficient amount of nutrients and endometrium deposited over it, so that the baby can't be holded in ectopic pregnancy. So if you go for the heterotropic pregnancy, the name itself says it is hetero. It is more than one. Sometimes in IVF or some other reasons, like if it is artificial insemination or it could be in vitro fertilizations and all, you have more than one embryo formed, right? If more than one embryo is formed, for example, if you take two embryos formed for an individual, one embryo finally happily sits in the uterine cavity developing into a baby. The other embryo that has been developed may sit in ampullary region or in the isthmus part or the interstitial part, which may leads to the ectopic pregnancy. So if two things are happening at a time, two embryos have been developing at a time in different areas of reproductive system, that is what you call heterotropic pregnancy. It generally happens due to artificial insemination or IVF or something like that. Okay. Now let's see, hope you are clear with the chapter. Now let's see, I told you corneal pregnancy is also called interstitial pregnancy, angular pregnancy is also called intrauterine pregnancy, and heterotropic pregnancy. And one more thing here, okay, before I talk about the risk factors that are responsible for the ectopic pregnancy, see here I can show you one thing. The baby that is grown in the ampullary part, for example, if in ectopic pregnancy, they have seen in the ultrasound where the baby's development is happening in the ampullary part of your fallopian tube. If it is not going to uterine area and sitting in the ectopic pregnancy, sitting in for a normal pregnancy, then generally go for an abortion, because ampullary region, when they reach to the isthmus part of your fallopian tube, the baby would always already starts growing, and the size of the embryo or zygote, whatever it is, starts increasing, and the fallopian tube gets stretched. If the fallopian tube gets stretched more and more, the whole thing bursts out and leads to the bleeding, which is a abortion for your pregnancy. So it is also important that if it is growing in the ampullary part, it can be shown in the ultrasound, it should be immediately aborted. Okay, so just for your understanding information I'm given you. Okay, what are the risk factors? This is interesting. So risk factors, I told you, the history of ectopic. If a lady has already gone through a pregnancy which is which is a ectopic pregnancy, chances of having the second baby would again be ectopic. Okay, it's only because maybe that lady might not be having good amount of hormones produced in the body. So because of the unequal amount of hormones, there is no proper formation of endometrium happening. If there is only proper formation of endometrium in the uterine area, then only that could be the baby can have a better bed for holding that, right? So if there is no proper formation of endometrium, that lady would obviously go for a ectopic pregnancy even in the second time, right? So previous tubal surgeries. So this I told you, if a lady is gone through any surgery, it could be tubal ligation or it could be tubectomy. Okay, if she's gone through that tubectomy or tubal ligation, what happens? The fallopian tube will get constricted. Like the moment the whole fallopian tube gets completely narrow. So there is no chance of the movement of this particular blastocyst staged cells to enter into the uterine cavity for the production. So if that is not happening, as construction is stopping that, the chances of formation of baby happens only in the ampullary region or isthmus region of your fallopian tube. So that is due to the constriction happening due to the tubal surgeries. And then next goes the girls with having the endometrium problem. So I told you what is endometriosis. The formation of endometrium should happen only in the uterine cavity, right? The second half of the cycle, if you have any doubt, please go through the menstrual part 2 cycle, where I have told you the progesterone is responsible and it helps in the formation of your endometrium layer in the uterine wall for holding of your baby. If the fertilization happens, the body should be ready to hold the baby. So that are the preparations that a body should make before the baby enters. So if that is not happening, like if the endometrium is not properly formed in the uterine wall, then definitely what it does, the formation of the zygote or formation of the embryo implantation happens in the area where the endometrium is formed more, like other than uterus. If endometrium is formed well in the isthmus area, if it is formed in the interstitial area, or if it is formed in the ampullary region or in the infundibulum region or even in the ovary region, wherever the endometrium is formed, it takes that as your holding thing and the baby starts developing there. So the endometrium is a problem where the endometrium formation layer happens outside the uterine area. Because of it, the baby would obviously go to the endometrium layer, as it is have supply of all nutrients and everything to it. As it is growing outside the uterus, the baby would be grown outside the uterine wall, uterine area. That is why it leads to ectopic pregnancy. So endometriosis is also one important risk factor for your ectopic pregnancy to happen. So sexually transmitted diseases. So there are many diseases like AIDS and all, HIV and all, right? So when a girl is having STD, like the immune power is so low that she can't hold a baby, obviously. So immunity is so very well low that it can't even produce proper amount of hormones responsible for holding a baby. So that sometimes lead to ectopic pregnancy. And here one important risk factor is contraceptive failures. So sometimes we all know a lady, if she wants to take a decision for not having a baby in the future, they have to go for some contraception. It could be injections, it could be intrauterine devices, it could be copper intrauterine devices, and there are many intrauterine devices where hormones have been released. For example, there are some intrauterine devices which release progesterone hormone. So what does actually progesterone do? It will relax your complete fallopian tube, right? What is actually fallopian tube, where the fertilization happens? I told you the fertilization happens in the ampullary region of your fallopian tube, right? So this particular fallopian tube of female reproductive system has a peristaltic movement, like gut like movements. So even in the intestines we have the peristaltic movements. It's a wave like motion movement, right? So when this happens, that slow formation of fertilized egg should slowly move into your uterine cavity through the peristaltic movements. So when there are intrauterine devices having produced more an amount of progesterone, the whole fallopian tube gets relaxed. So there is no proper movement of, or the proper peristaltic movements are completely absent because of over and over production of your progesterone. That intrauterine device keeps producing more and more progesterone, which sometimes which sometimes would stop the peristaltic movements of fallopian tube. Thus the baby starts growing only in the fallopian tube instead of entering into your uterine cavity. Hope I am clear with the concept of contraceptive failures, right? See, actually what they do, contraceptive failures is meant for, it could be tubal ligation again. In tubal ligation, there is no chance of fusion, or there is no chance of formation of baby because the tubes are ligated and they are constricted, right? And for what does contraceptive failures mean? If a girl has gone for a contraception, but again she got to know she's pregnant, that definitely would lead to ectopic pregnancy. Here I am clear with the concept. See, for example, if a lady has taken intrauterine device, hormone releasing intrauterine device, but for no reason she got pregnant. If she got pregnant, it could lead to ectopic pregnancy because more an amount of progesterone is produced, which leads to the reduced movement of your fertilized egg into the uterine area. Hope I am clear with the concept of contraceptive failures. And I told you smokers. This is the most, I can say it's a definitive pregnancy risk factor, ectopic pregnancy risk factor. This smoking, ladies, is a problem for any pregnancy. The smoking inhaled thing, we have got carcinogens, many carcinogens in it, and it's very danger for the baby grown inside. So this smoking is, I can't say it's a correct factor for ectopic pregnancy. It is a factor for all the pregnancies. Okay, so hope if you want to have any clear about how the smoking affects the person's individual's health, I'm also going to link it in the channel description. Okay, hope I'm clear with the topic of ectopic pregnancies. Where would it happen, and what are the chances, what are the sites, and what are the risk factors? In the next class I will talk about the menopause. So till now I have covered all menstrual part 1, part 2, reproductive system, this I was talking about most common set of tubal abortion. So abortion, I told you, generally whoever is diagnosed with ectopic pregnancies, generally the tubal abortion happens in the ampullary region because that is the area where fertilization happens. Whenever they get to know it through that in the ultrasound, they will tell you to go for an abortion because it may lead to the tubal rupture. If that is not observed, if ampullary region is not been observed, and if it is gone for the next 1 month or so, it may lead to tubal rupture because the increase of cells would happen, the growth, and once fertilized egg would start repeating the cells to grow its size. So if it grows, it leads to a tubal rupture that could happen in the isthmus area next to the ampullary region of your fallopian tube. So these are the common sites for your abortions in ectopic pregnancy. Okay, so hope I am clear. In the next class I will talk about the menopause. So menopause, what are the risk factors for menopause, what happens really in the menopause, what is the age, and how how can you detect it early before, like pre-menopause, menopause symptoms and all. Okay, so thank you and really have a nice day. Hope I'm clear with the concept. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment box, and please try to answer the questions that have been posted in the community tab. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.